Hello and good morning, everybody. I'm your host, Keenan. Welcome to the February 3rd, 2022 weekly DXdao community call. Plenty on the agenda, lots of interesting stuff today. We'll be chatting ETH Denver, kind of our plans and previous experiences, the current state of the prediction market, kind of climate, and a lot more, including some DX Venture stuff. So without further ado, let's hop right into some recaps. Zet or Venki, are you around to chat Swapper?
Yeah, sure, for sure. So we had a lot of planning that we did these 2-3 weeks. We planned Q1, Q2, and actually further. Also went into some retrospective on what happened last year and how incentives have been. I'll share actually with you guys the roadmap, the updated roadmap, the latest one from Swapper. It is in the chat, the mothership chat, if you guys want to see it. And there we can see Q1, Q2, which are more like detailed, and yeah, they are more relevant for us now when we're planning. Let's talk a little bit about what we launched last week. We actually finished Swapper Beta V10. We are expecting Swapper to go out of beta really, really soon. So I'm expecting 1 or 2 more versions in the beta, and then we'll go out of beta. Basically, that will mean we'll have Swapper governance live and a bunch of other things live on Swapper. So on the newest release, we do have prepared for the Swapper single token staking. We updated a lot of the interface for both farming and adding liquidity. For the liquidity pages. So we split that up. As you guys know, today, both adding liquidity and rewards section is in the same place, and we split that up. I think that will get us much more room to do a lot of improvements. So one of the improvements we already did is giving farms different states. Basically, if a farm is a locked campaign, if it's a limited campaign, if it's a upcoming or active campaign, all of those you will see before you even enter the campaign. You will see it in the cards. So that's a huge improvement. That's most of it. Currently, we're working on integrating 2 different bridges. One of them is a mover integration. I'm super excited for that. So Mover 2.0 just got released, and we're integrating this to Swapper bridge. And we also are working with the external team on launching a landing page for Swapper. We are doing something I would call a hybrid in between a DApp and a landing page. So going to swapper.eth, you will see a landing page, but you will also be in the DApp. There's no need to click go to DApp or go to app to come to the DApp. I think that's a better solution to do it. So yeah, that's briefly what's going on.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you very much for your time. We did have DXGov as well, but I do believe Ross is off for this week. So we'll skip the DXGov update for the day, and maybe next week we can go to a little deeper of an update on the DXGov side. Considering that, let's move on to ETH Denver, our plans and experiences. Obviously, we are very excited to attend ETH Denver. As you may have seen on our Twitter, we have a fun little mascot repping us so far. We put out a Medium article, kind of co-sponsoring, etc. Maybe Sky and or John want to kind of take this away.
Guy, do you want to intro? I think you've done more of the general organizing. I could talk a little bit about the events. Bounties.
So DXdao will be there. We have for the community, we have a happy hour on the Wednesday. We will be there. We have 10 or so contributors there all week, participating in lots of different events. ETH Denver itself, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We have as a sponsor, we have a booth right on the second floor among all the other sponsors. So come by if you're there. There will be an interesting panel based probably on DAOs that a DXdao representative will be on earlier in the week on Tuesday and Wednesday, I think it is DAO Denver, which is a DAO-based conference that's happening. And there's also an interesting panel with a few DXdao, DXGov contributors on there. So the unique thing about ETH Denver in Ethereum Denver week this year is that it's going to be like, between 3 and 5 times bigger than it's ever been. And so no one really knows how it's going to be set up. There's a campus of like 10 different venues. Who can go into what venues is an unknown. But the Sports Castle is still like, I think, the place where the main sponsors and potentially like main talks and things will be. Hackers may be spread out there and among other venues as well. So there'll probably be like hacker spaces to organize. So we'll aim to make an effort to, as mentors and as DXdao representatives, get around to meet different kind of teams and hackers and explore the different venues and make sure they're aware of DXdao and the products and the bounties that are available. And so we will have bounties in the hackathon, which maybe John is organizing some of the details around the videos for. So if you want to talk about that, we can't publicly announce all the details of the bounties until I think February 11th, is just to be fair with all the other sponsors and that are part of the hackathon. But we're organizing to just make hackers aware of what DXDAO's products are, where they can find resources and things like that. And then hopefully we can build some momentum like around DXdao awareness going into that week, through our social media and maybe interacting with ETH Denver and some other entities that are participating in the week. So that's kind of a big overview.
Yeah, I guess we should avoid getting into too much details on what the bounties will be, so as not to spoil that. Like launch on February 11th. I guess that's when the virtual hackathon starts, which runs a month, and then there's the physical in-person hackathon during ETH Denver itself over the 3-day weekend, Friday through Sunday. There's $15,000 worth of bounties for DXdao, and the focus will be on using and integrating and developing on top of Carrot and also guilds from governance. The feeling is that these platforms kind of are the most adaptable and usable when it comes to integrating into other projects, and will reflect well on DXdao. Myself and Augusto from the Gov Squad will be mentors at ETH Denver, so we'll be around. We have a bunch of shifts that we've signed up for on Friday and Saturday at ETH Denver, so we'll be walking around, helping out hackers and also explaining, how Carrot and guilds work and DXdao in general. The teams are going to be 2 to 4 people in size. And it's also a requirement for all the sponsors to split their rewards between the virtual hackathon and the in-person hackathon equally to kind of create some parity between the two, although the format is quite different, right? Because the in-person one is kind of a sprint over a weekend and the virtual one takes place over a month. Our bounties are going to be pretty much the same between virtual and in-person, but there's going to be an additional one that's a little more involved on the virtual side, because we felt that month-long period is going to give people an opportunity to dig a little bit further in.
Yeah, thank you guys. Anyone that is attending us, will be attending ETH Denver and kind of seeing the DXdao contributors. There are going to be a couple interesting POAPs as well. Namely, we have a POAP for kind of general unlimited attendance. Anyone that comes to us, talks to us at the booth. We will also have a very special POAP as well. Not going to share details on exactly how to claim that yet, but it sounds like that might be one that you might want to find. Maybe
let's not forget the swag.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about the swag?
I mean,
You
yeah,
sound
we'll have
excited.
some. Obviously, I'm creating those, so yeah. So yeah, we will have some swag, some unique stuff. We'll try to have something that no one else has. So yeah, just come by.
Yeah, awesome. And
We
before
will actually, one idea would be we may try to keep like a little, a bag or two of swag, maybe to distribute to DXdao community members. We can figure out how. Maybe it's a raffle, maybe it's based on POAPs, maybe it's something like that, and we can potentially send that to whoever those people are following ETH Denver. That way, if you can't attend ETH Denver in person and you're part of DXdao community and you're here on the call, or you have some POAPs from the past, maybe we can find a way to get you some of this ETH Denver swag. So we'll keep that as an opportunity.
Yeah, super, super cool. I think to kind of wrap up the ETH Denver topic, it would be interesting to hear some unique insight from those of you who have attended ETH Denver in the past. I believe, namely, that's you, Sky, and John, yet again. But it would be great to kind of hear how your experiences were in the past and how we might be expecting to look forward to these.
I attended the last in-person one, so I think that was 2020, right, kind of right before lockdowns started. It may have been like one of the last conferences I think a lot of people went to, and yeah, it was a big conference already, so it's kind of almost surprising to see that they're increasing the size drastically. The Sports Castle is a great venue. It's very dynamic. They have different rooms set up for doing different things, talks going on the first floor, hackers kind of hacking throughout the second and third floor, like a meditation kind of art room kind of separated through the garage. There's I think it's like more of an art makerspace on the top floor. So it's a very dynamic venue and just kind of a great atmosphere for hacking. I expect this year will be quite a bit different, though. I think things have sort of expanded, obviously, with the bull market. There's more funding, more people, and it's going to be more of a week-long fair as well, with tons of side events going on in the week building up to ETH Denver. I think there was maybe a little bit of that last time, but I expect that to be on a whole other scale this time around. I don't know if Sky probably went to ones even before that. I don't know if he has anything to add.
Yeah, I mean that's a good summary. It used to just be basically the weekend, and now it's kind of a whole week, which is what we saw with ETH Lisbon and Paris. That these things are expanding, which is good. There's lots of interest. I think it's in the U.S. People are aware of it. There will probably be a whole bunch of. It used to just be core people that were in the Ethereum space. I think there will be, of that 10 or 15,000 people that are showing up to Denver, probably a third of them at least are people that probably don't know that much about blockchain or Web3 or Ethereum, and have gotten into it in the last year, or are sent by organizations they work for, which sounds a little bit like the consensus that happens in Midtown in New York City. So there will be kind of there will be a lot of people there that don't even know what a DAO is, and so if you're talking to those people, you'll be explaining what a DAO is, not what DXdao is. And so I think, yeah, just having a perspective on when you're talking to someone how much they know and where they come from and what they're interested in being there. But it's a good opportunity for DXdao, and we should be rocking potentially some of the jerseys of the sponsorship with esports team, which is super cool. And so that's kind of a bridge between Web3 DAO world and like real world communities, an esports community. And so that's a story that is interesting to, more normal people that might not know that much about the space. And all of a sudden an esports community, in the esports world is interested in partnering and learning and using DAO infrastructure to organize and make decisions and things. And that's the kind of story that maybe a reporter or someone would want to write about, or an influencer who finds out about that. So yeah, talking about things like that is also really interesting.
Yeah, I want to maybe also add that it's a lot of fun. Just like that's the bottom line. It's like a lot of fun to speak with, people who are sort of like-minded dreamers, like most of the people who are here on this calls that want to build, a better future, and decentralization, and people who actually believe in this. There's also the fair share of opportunists, but a lot of it is actually like really really great people who want to build the craziest stuff, and it's really really fun to be a part of it. That's one thing, and then the other thing is it's just like there's like a crazy amount of innovation happening as well in like this entire like thing. And yeah, you'll see like in the hackathon just like crazy projects, and the conference itself will have like all these cool innovations and ways to engage the people who come. And yeah, I'm like very sad I can't come, but yeah, I don't know, have fun DXdao, and showcase exactly how crazy you are, how crazy we are.
It's not a new thing, but this will be happening again, where you will be buying. There's a lot of food trucks that are outside the venues, and they will be accepting crypto or tokens for food. And so that is an experience that, especially people that are new to crypto, where they have like a burner wallet on their phone, or maybe it's MetaMask or whatever. So it's introducing wallets and using crypto to like buy things from real world vendors. And that's something that like was pretty unique in the 2 years ago at ETH Denver, and 3 years ago. It's less unique now, but like a lot of conferences like ETH Paris, there was like no use of crypto in all of Paris, right? And so ETH Denver likes to use the things that are being made in the space. And so whether it's POAPs or digital merch, or digital wearables, or tokens for DAO voting, or for buying goods, it's all like pretty well used at something like ETH Denver, which is cool.
Oh, that's amazing. I like the food truck idea. Brings back memories from the days when I was a student. I did a summer in Philadelphia as an ice cream man, but crypto didn't exist, so it would have been so cool if we had NFTs. But yeah. There's a lot to innovate in the space. I think we need a better connection with the real world, where most of us are mostly involved with DeFi, but there's a lot of businesses in the real world that can immensely benefit from crypto. But of course, we need regulation for that. So, and the government isn't helping with any clarity on the matter.
I think the thing I will remember from today's call is that Arha was the ice cream man in Philadelphia some years ago.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll share like a quick anecdote. In ETH Denver 2020, like right before COVID, I was in the organizing team of ETH Denver, and we did like we wanted the judging of the hackathon to be done like by the participants of the conference, right? And then you could go to like various different tasks at all the sponsored booths and like do all these things and get points. And the person who got the most points in that entire thing was Sky. I think that was kind of like the first time I met Sky. So yeah, it was pretty cool.
Like before we knew each other.
And then
Except-
actually, and then hung out with Elon, even though we still didn't really know each other, and at the Breckenridge ski retreat, while someone brought a like 6-foot speaker to like the mountain to play music without the mountain's permission. But that's like the Eat Denver crowd that shows up to the ski mountain, which is
BZX
cool.
running that Breckenridge thing last time. 2020. Do you guys remember? I just remember that during ETH Denver last time, there was that somewhat significant BZX hack. Like it was like Friday night in the middle of the night. It was also Valentine's Day. Then like one of the first talks on Saturday was Taylor Moynihan from My Crypto that just got acquired actually, and she was like going off on what security concerns. Anyways, always interesting to kind of see all this drama is happening, playing out in metaverse or whatever you call this world that we're living in, and then in person you get to actually share this stuff with people. It's kind of cool, and I'm excited to see this kind of pick up again too, because I think a lot of folks have onboarded in the last couple of years with this bull market, and I think conferences have long been sort of at the heart of at least the Ethereum community. And we've seen a little action already with Lisbon and a couple other conferences, but I think things are finally kind of getting back into the swing of it here in 2022, and hopefully we'll be fine. Won't get hampered by COVID, but I'm very excited to see this stuff get going again.
Cool. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Nylon, for stepping on stage as well. Good to see your face around here. Let's move on now and chat a bit about the state of prediction markets. John, this will be a you topic, but just want to chat a bit about the current state of Omen, the general climate of prediction markets in the ecosystem. What the future is going to kind of look like. If you want to take that away.
Yeah, and others feel free to step in here. I haven't really had a chance to kind of study or prepare for this talk. So, I mean, there's things that I am aware of that we've kind of seen happen that I can touch on, but this is by no means like an actual like picture of what's going on in the prediction market world. I know there's some new projects and stuff out there, but I think Augur was the first to do fundraising and pursue prediction markets in crypto, in the crypto context. Their ICO was, I think, the first one on Ethereum. Forget if it was 2016. I think it was 2016. Gnosis followed them in 2017 to be a second competitor in that space. They both raised a tremendous amount of Ether, which I think was beginning for Gnosis and kind of getting all the capital that they have and like underpinning all the efforts that they now are known for, whether that's Gnosis Safe or CowSwap, etc. But that we were kind of joking in Lisbon with the Omen panel there that Gnosis is doing everything except for prediction markets, right? And this is kind of coming from Stefan and them as well, right? Like they did a lot to try working on it, but it's not something that they're currently pursuing. Augur similarly is like unwinding their foundation. They're actually transitioning into a DAO with some help from DXgov, but it's a little unclear at this point who from their team is going to continue working on it, if anyone. So you've sort of seen the old guard not like kind of discontinue their efforts around prediction markets. Now, DXdao has sort of inherited that mantle from with Omen, but similarly, we are not currently putting a lot of effort into Omen. The platform is live. You can go. There's actually a couple markets that have some funding here around the Super Bowl coming up, and it's very much still a DXdao product. And the intent is to return to it once we have enough developer resources. The kind of the motivation to put it on the back burner was the fact that we were spread way too thin and needed to focus on the most high priority efforts. But yeah, so you have this kind of like old guard, and then you've got Polymarket came out, I think a couple of years ago. They've seen a good amount of volume. I don't know how much of it's organic versus like, seeded by by them in terms of the market liquidity, but they've got a good amount of volume. They were deployed on Polygon, maybe a little bit more centralized than Omen, I would say, in terms of how they control the front end and maybe control of even the markets on Polygon itself. But another piece of news was that recently they, I think, had some kind of a settlement with the CFTC, which is, I guess, one of the agencies in the United States that you don't hear as often as, say, like the SEC in relation to crypto, but they do have some purview over certain things. And I think I'm not an expert on this stuff, but some of the markets could be considered, I think, what it's called, like binary options markets, that are regulated by the CFTC. So they were restricting, they were seeing some of the stuff as Polymarket was doing is out of bounds. And I think Polymarket's responded by removing some markets, and I think they're now geo-blocking the United States. So not as open as we maybe would have envisioned. In addition, I think we've recently seen Azuro get some funding by Gnosis. I don't know too much about them. That's kind of like what I'm aware of. Curious if anybody else has some observations or news or like kind of insights into what's happening. I think in terms of like DXDAO's place in the ecosystem, I think it's still a very interesting product placed. Very interesting space for DXDAO to play in. I think Omen is perhaps like the most decentralized prediction market even today. I think there's a lot of room to improve the user experience, and so I'm still optimistic about the future. I think it's going to require more development efforts at some point when DXdao has the ability to do that, to really move it forward. And I think largely what we've seen today is prediction markets struggling to find product market fit in crypto, right? Like you don't see much that has really taken off. That's kind of the thoughts I have about it. So like kind of in summary, like still very optimistic about Omen and role it has as like one of the most decentralized prediction markets. And I think it could have a bright future with DXDAO. I think, a lot of prediction markets still have yet to reach their potential.
Yeah, thank you, John, for the recap. I was wondering, I'm not sure, Sky, if you're familiar, but there is a new Omen Market that has gone live and kind of sponsored by DXdao as of a few days ago. Do you want to chat about that?
There's a couple Super Bowl related markets on Omen that someone put up onto Omen, and so Super Bowl is always a popular market to bet on. It's Omen is mainly on Gnosis chain, and so as Gnosis chain is becoming more and more popular, potentially people using Omen chain, Gnosis chain, can find Omen and bet on markets and also create markets and provide liquidity. But not much more else to say.
Cool. Yeah, thanks, Sky.
I was having a chat with a guy in our Discord, Alex, building a platform for prediction markets, Predict Site, and the conversation kind of led to me sharing my perspective on the space. I perceive Amen as a public good. I see it as, say, Central Park in New York. I don't see it as a discotheque. With most of the projects in crypto, we expect something to happen all the time, and if there isn't anything happening, we start sharing those memes, poking Bitcoin and saying do something. So and then you would consider this: if a project launches a token, would the crypto community be more interested in trading the token or actually using the product itself? And so it's this weird dynamic. But at the end of the day, Omen exists. It's solid infrastructure. It's a public good. It's probably the most decentralized permissionless prediction markets platform in the world. And if you want to use it today, you can use it today, and it does the job. But should we judge it by the amount of traffic it's getting? I don't think that should be the metric. When more people get onboarded to crypto and become familiar with it, in the future it should see naturally more traffic. But at this point, it's kind of like forced.
I think what we have, DXdao has done really well with Omen is making it, as decentralized as possible. And I do see, I think there's lots of potential, not just in kind of traditional use cases of prediction markets that we've seen so far, or some of the stuff you'll see on Omen Market to like compete more with that, but more specific use cases of information markets. I think especially around governance, right? Just when communities want to expose information about something that's relevant to their decision making, I think a decentralized and more neutral platform like Omen is going to be a very attractive venue. And I think, you could even get a little more down the rabbit hole and start thinking about Utarchy or some of these other governance applications where you could actually tie prediction markets into decision making. I think that's definitely a little more complicated further out if it does come about. But I think as governance gets more serious and the experiments continue in crypto, like people will take more interest in this stuff. And I think I'm hopeful that we'll actually see some of it actually get used.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Unless there's any final comments here, just checking the chat. Let's move on to the DX Ventures grant investment to Karma and just a bit about DX Ventures as well at large. Sky, if you want to take that away.
DX Ventures. Well, if you're here and you don't know what DX Ventures is, you probably haven't been around very long. But DX Ventures in general is like an area that DXdao created to basically help invest in, give grants to, and support teams and projects that are building mainly products that are solving the needs of DAOs, specifically DXDAO's needs. And if DXdao, as a pretty decentralization forward DAO, needs these solutions, we believe that other DAOs that operate as true proper DAOs will also need these same tools and products. And so over time, eliminating any of the centralized points of contacts that are kind of embedded in the processes, the tools, like forums, anything that DAOs or decentralized communities are using that are single points of failure, those basically need solutions to them. And so DXdao has made a series of investment grants and grants over the past year or so in a handful of projects that are solving those needs, and we are looking to do that on an ongoing basis. Coming out of hackathons is always a good opportunity. A lot of projects that may come out of ETH Denver. There's actually an entity called Buffacorn Ventures, which is created by the Spork DAO community, which is related to ETH Denver, in order to actually fund and support projects that come out of ETH Denver, for example, rather than letting them fall to the side or having other people invest in them. And so DX Ventures will be at ETH Denver looking for opportunities there as well. And then there's another immediate opportunity related to kind of DAO profiles and DAO data that DXdao is currently considering. And yeah, John, if you posted about it, if you want to add a little more detail there, it's a immediate opportunity that's pretty interesting and related to kind of one of the ideas and hackathons that came out of ETH Lisbon as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I think in this context, it makes sense to tell a little bit about how this project Karma resonated with a hackathon project that some of the contributors here at DXdao were working on at the ETH Lisbon hackathon. So I was on a team with Zet here and a couple of the devs, and I was actually really interested in working on something different, but Zet eventually kind of wore me down on this idea of using NFTs as sort of a way to encapsulate your on-chain activity and identity. And Zet, maybe like it'd be good to hear from you on like your thoughts around our hackathon idea, and then maybe I could talk a little bit about what Karma is and why I think that resonates with these ideas.
Yeah, sure. I mean, obviously, look, so back then, we had this NFT craze. Everything was about NFTs, and we also wanted to win the hackathon, even though we had like two great ideas. I think I at least tried to push us to do something that we don't usually do, and do something that is not super DXdao focused, but DXdao could use. So my idea was to basically create this NFT profile picture that is a collection, or sorry, a mix between what you usually have, like a normal NFT profile pictures everyone has. It could be, yeah, a CryptoPunk or a Bored Ape, and then you could also show your score, and this score it could be different kind of thing. So one of the ideas we had was do a DAO score, basically getting on-chain voting and on-chain proposal, and how many proposals you passed, and things like that, and getting a score from users, and having that score, and you could showcase this score. You could search wallets after this score, so it has a lot of use, and we explored that, and we actually built an MVP surrounding that, and was super exciting. If I remember correctly, I think we came at like 11th place or something like that. So we missed the top 10. But yeah, it was exciting. And yeah, maybe John can take it over from here.
So I was eventually convinced that this, idea of leveraging this NFT as a profile picture as sort of this instrument to display other on-chain data is like a great way to kind of distribute and like, yeah, just this way to encapsulate that data. And I think the last couple of years, especially with the rise of DeFi and more DAO activity, NFTs, et cetera, everything that like we've seen happen in crypto, we've just had an explosion in on-chain information about, if not people, at least like addresses, right? And so you start to think about, well, what is this on-chain identity that these addresses are accumulating? And they could be pseudonymous, or maybe the owners of the addresses actually want to pull that together and like leverage that in some way. And then kind of combine like observing all of this happening with, on the other side, what's happening on like DXdao governance. You have all these reputation holders. You can see all the addresses, but it's not very easy to find out information about these addresses, like who they are, like who do you want to believe or trust, or who's the most qualified to do governance. And I think when you look at even like other governance systems like Gitcoin or ENS, where delegation is a really important aspect, like understanding who those delegates actually are and like what their on-chain history is becomes, I think, even more important. So we had worked on this hackathon in Lisbon, and I think it was only a week or two after I had a call scheduled to catch up with Mahesh, who's the founder of Karma, and he's somebody I've known for several years. He actually was working on this educational Solidity site called Zastrin that was great for teaching people how to code Solidity. And in 2017 is when I had met him, and we had started the Boston Ethereum Developers Meetup, and Mahesh gave one of our first presentations to that meetup when he was talking about creating a voting system. And we're talking to him then, we weren't so sure how DXdao would necessarily use that, although I thought this idea of like decentralized social media stuff is going to become more and more important. But when I caught up with him after Lisbon, it turned out he had pivoted, and he was describing the idea as like a decentralized LinkedIn. Like he was interested in looking at people's on-chain resume, seeing like how that could be surfaced and used in terms of like recruiting for DAOs. And I said, hey, that actually really resonates with some of the stuff we were talking about at Lisbon. And I actually had heard a couple other VCs that just kind of cold messaged me on Twitter being like, hey, this hackathon project's cool, like on-chain identity, I think it's big. And so, I mean, I sort of expect this to be a very hot area of development in crypto over the next few years. I think we're going to see lots of projects trying to surface on-chain data and do things that you could maybe kind of under the umbrella of like on-chain identity. And I think it's going to be a bunch of different niches. And you can even just look at Web 2 and maybe draw the analogy of like you have all these different platforms for different verticals with social media and how people like to present themselves in Web 2. And I think Web 3, it's only going to get more intense. And so yeah, Karma is taking a look at on-chain data and trying to surface that. I think the big ambition is going to be to take all kinds of on-chain data from all kinds of sources and to aggregate that and do it in as decentralized a way as possible. That, of course, is going to be like a huge challenge with how spread out it is. So I think a project that is going to eventually win in doing that is going to have to be really scaled up and have a tremendous amount of resources. But I think what we'll maybe see get traction in the short term is projects focusing on specific niches. And I think Karma is doing that. They're working actually already with ENS and Gitcoin and trying to surface information about their delegates. I think the intent is also to integrate DXdao, especially if this investment comes through on the DXdao side. So you'll actually see the DXdao governance systems get integrated into Karma. And I think where it really resonates with what Zet was talking about is there are plans by Karma to leverage sets of NFTs to be used to display this data. And from my personal perspective, I think that's going to be really important in gaining initial traction, simply because crypto is just completely driven by speculation these days, and I hope we'll see that trend more towards actual use eventually. But I think tapping into the speculative nature of the NFT PFPs is going to be critical in getting enough attention and funding and momentum behind a project so that it can actually start to crack the nut of unlocking all of this rich on-chain data. Yeah, that's kind of my take on Karma. We had Mahesh to join the BizDev calls. We kind of put this schedule today together just last night, so we didn't really even have a chance to ask him to join. But we could potentially have him on another call too at some point.
Excellent. Thank you very much for your time again, John. Keeping my eyes open here for any questions, but we do have Enrico from Skytel here in the audience that would like to give a couple words about the recent Swapper NFT before we kind of wrap things up. Hey, Enrico, how are you doing?
Hello, everybody. Very excited to be here. We are doing great. So in just a few words, Skytel is a dashboard as a service offering a way of consolidating in a single view multiple on-chain and off-chain transactions. So think about how to manage all of your staking position across multiple protocols. We know how it's hard to keep track of all of your open position, all of your open accounts across multiple networks, protocols. Well, at Skytail, our ambition is to make life easier for everybody in order to track any crypto asset, regardless the network. We currently support 9 different networks, basically all the EVM chains, but we also plan to integrate more in the future. And on top of that, we also help on making accounting easier. Think about how to label any transaction to find them easier. Let's say searching for any transaction and then save your query for the future, and how to report properly taxes, how to import all of your transaction into QuickBooks for your accountant. This is basically what we are doing at Skytail.
Yeah, excellent. Thanks for sharing. Do you want to maybe talk a bit about the custom artwork NFTs for Swapper holders?
Yeah, basically our value proposition is inviting everybody to join our platform to register wallets by sharing the public key. We are not dealing at all with any private or sensible information, no seed phrases, of course, no private keys. We ask just for the public key. We fetch transaction, and that's why also our search engine is so fast. In this way, we can offer a faster solution for tracking all of your transaction in a single view.
Yeah, excellent.
Yeah, Skytail is a great tool for savvy farmers, liquidity providers who know their way around DeFi, and it's a perfect fit. It's a great gesture from their end to provide full access with all premium features to some of the Swapper users. And I'll share the contract for the Carrot campaign that was conducted during the month of December on Swapper on Gnosis Chain. If your address is one of these, you're probably one of the winners of this beautiful NFT POAP that will grant you access to the Skytail platform. If you go to the tweet and read the blog post, there is a link to the POAP website where you could see whether your address has received an NFT.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you very much for your time, Enrico. As Nathan mentioned, you should go check if you're eligible, particularly if you're a Swapper DXdao farmer on Gnosis Chain. Where can we go to learn more about Skytail? Maybe if you want to leave some links in the chat here.
I'm more than happy to share any link, any valuable link. So feel free to join. It's free for everybody forever. We are also going to launch our token sale. That means, especially for power users, in order to be eligible as premium users, we are going to launch our token sale. We ask just for holding some of our tokens to access to the most advanced features.
Excellent. Perfect. Thank you very much, Enrico.
Thank you. Thank you.
Excellent. Well, that gets through the majority of our agenda here today. Keeping an eye on the chat for any final questions. Otherwise, we can wrap it up. Just seeing a couple typing. Seeing POAP giveaway for this community call. Not today. No POAP today. But there are DXdao holiday POAPs. If you've interacted with DXdao contracts, held DXD, or held Swapper token, you can claim some DXdao holiday POAPs. I will grab the link for here in just a moment. Awesome. Thank you very much, everyone, for attending the weekly DXdao community call. We'll be around here next week, same time at the same place. If you don't regularly do this already, we do have an event tab at the top middle. So keep an eye out for any events there that includes the community call and maybe some other fun stuff. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Cheers, everyone. Bye.
Cheers.